Mr. Clerk, it's 5:30. I call to order the City Council meeting on this July 26, 2023. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Campbell. Councilman Leon.
Here.
Councilwoman Godaro.
Present.
Councilwoman Julian. Councilman Stevens.
Here.
Vice Mayor Wilson. Mayor Harris.
I'm present.
You have a quorum. Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
Councilwoman Julian will not be present during today's meeting. She requested if her absence can be excused.
All right, I need a motion to excuse Councilwoman.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none. Show excused. All right, please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
God our Father, we thank you for your grace and mercy towards us. Father, it's in this moment that we ask for your blessings upon this great city that we call Miami Gardens. Open up your windows of heaven and pour out your many blessings upon us. God, we ask for your knowledge, your wisdom, and your understanding. In this moment, God, we say thank you for all the great things that you have done and all the great things that you continue to do for this city that we call home. Father, we pray that you continue to bless us, and we promise to give you all the praise, honor, and glory that your precious Son name deserves. It is in your Son name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Stop it.
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and note on the record that Vice Mayor Wilson is present.
Thank you. All right, we're on approval of the minutes. I need a
Mayor,
motion. Yes.
Mayor and Council, we do have the July 12, 2023 regular city meeting draft minutes for your approval.
I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the minutes approved. We're on order of business. Are there any items that need to be pulled or added to the consent agenda at this time? Mr. Clerk, I have an item on 11.1. I need to have it withdrawn from the agenda, from the consent agenda.
Duly noted.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
you were finished, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. I need to pull items number 1115, 1117, and 1118.
Okay.
Can-
Are there any other items?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman, can you repeat it one more time for me, please? I'm sorry.
11, 15, 17, and 18.
All right, duly noted.
Are there any other items that need to be pulled, deleted, or added? No? Showing none? I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the agenda passed. What we on?
We're now on to special presentation. Item 6.1, presentation on initial report regarding redistricting the city of Miami Gardens. This is sponsored by the city clerk. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
as you guys remember to recall, August 23rd, 2022, the Miami Gardens voters approved the amendment of the city charter to allow the residential area district boundaries to be amended by the council to ensure fair representation by ordinance. On December 14, 2022, this city council provided direction to me to reach out to get an expert to come in to look at our district, to perform the studies of our district. Tonight, I have Mr. Miguel DeGrande, an attorney from Holland Knight, Miami office. He's a South Florida Government Advocacy and Development Group. He's part of that team. Mr. DeGrande has an in-depth understanding of government, regulatory, and administrative processes in the state of Florida as a result of serving as a member of the Florida House of Representatives from 1989 to 1994. What makes Mr. DeGrande an expert on this, during the 2000 redistricting cycle, Mr. DeGrande was appointed by the Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives as lead special counsel on their redistricting process. At this time, I welcome Mr. DeGrande to present his report to the City Council.
Welcome, Mr. McGrandy.
Thank you. And good evening. For the record, again, my name is Miguel DeGrande. My address is 701 Brickell Avenue, and I have the pleasure of serving as your redistricting counsel. Now, as you know, in early May of this year, I provided all of you with an initial report which contains much more detail than what we will discuss today. In this short presentation, I'm not going to bore you with the case law that's cited in the report. Instead, the purpose of today's presentation is to recap some basic principles and seek policy guidance from you on several issues. Now, to be clear, my job as a consultant is not to make policy decisions. My role is to reflect this council's policy as best as I can in a constitutionally compliant districting plan. Now, as I explained in our initial report, there are often competing principles in crafting a redistricting plan, and we'll talk a little more about that in a minute. So it's seldom possible to reflect all the policy guidance that you may provide us because we have to work within constitutional constraints, but we will do our best to prepare and present a plan that accomplishes the goals you set out. So first, let's start with the basics. In the last decade, the city's population grew by 4,479 residents, or 4.2%. According to the 2020 census, the city's population is 111,640. Now, of course, that's just a snapshot in time, and it's probably not the population count right now, but the official census data is the constitutionally accepted number by which we need to develop a new district plan. So in order to determine whether the district populations still meet acceptable constitutional parameters, one must start the analysis by calculating the ideal population for each district based on the new census data. Determining the ideal population is a simple calculation, taking the total population and divided by the number of districts. For the city districts, the ideal population number is 27,910. If you break down the city's population by districts, you see that currently District 1 has the least population at 24,755. District 2 has the highest population at 30,654. District 3's population is 26,834, and District 4's population, 29,397. Now, as you can see, every district deviates from the ideal population number. The deviation may be lower or higher, as is the case for the current plan, where the most populated district has 2,744 residents over the ideal, and District 1, the lowest, with under 3,155 residents. Now, with this information, we can determine if the plan is malapportioned by calculating the overall deviation. The overall deviation is the delta between the highest and lowest population district as expressed in percentages. District 2 has a population that is approximately 9.83% over the ideal population. I picked very cloudy colors. Hope you can see it. District 1 has a population approximately 11.3% below the ideal. The overall deviation is then calculated by adding the highest and lowest percentage, which in the city's plan results in approximately 21.13%. That overall deviation in the current plan demonstrates that it is malapportioned and cannot be used in subsequent elections. Why? Because it exceeds the acceptable parameters developed by the federal courts. Now, unlike for congressional plans which require virtual mathematical equality, federal courts have provided more leeway in crafting state and municipal district plans. Federal case law informs us that for state and local plans, one has to only achieve what is called substantial equality among the districts. This basically has come to mean that district plans for local governments and state governments may not exceed an overall deviation of 10%. So for example, if after we discuss policy issues, et cetera, and your direction results in one district being 4% over the ideal, no remaining district can be more than 6% below the ideal. So the challenge is to equalize the population, but also in developing a methodology to ripple that population into the underpopulated districts. Now, I will be looking to the council for policy guidance to determine how that excess population should be redistributed. This council is the governing body of the city, and as such, you have wide discretion to direct how the plan should be developed. Of course, the council should provide such guidance either by motion or resolution that evidences the will of the majority of the council. So now let's summarize some of the legal principles concerning a redistricting process. The prime directive of any plan, of course, is compliance with the Constitution's 14th Amendment requirement to achieve substantial population equality among districts and compliance with the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 prohibits voting practices or procedures that discriminate on the basis of race, color, or membership in one of the protected language minority groups. The act has been applied in the context of redistricting to prohibit practices that result in dilution of a minority group's voting strength and their ability to elect candidates of their choice. Now, since we engaged, we have done an initial assessment to determine the Voting Rights Act applicability. You have two protected classes under the Voting Rights Act: African Americans and Hispanics. Once we are engaged in drafting a new plan, we'll do a more thorough analysis, but at this time, we frankly don't see any significant voting right issues. But apart from these prime directives, what other considerations are part of the menu for developing a plan that should be used? Well, that leads to a discussion of traditional redistricting principles. I've listed on the screen some of the most commonly utilized criteria, but the Commission can also direct the use of any criteria that furthers a rational or important city interest. For example, do you want me to start from scratch to create a new plan, or just work around the contours of existing districts? Are there specific areas or neighborhoods that you want to keep in the same district? Are there parks or other public facilities that you want to keep either in a district or shift to another district? And of course, I will need your policy guidance as to which district you want me to include the new annex area, since it could fit in two of the districts. Now, keep in mind that this criteria, again, as I said, can sometimes be conflicting and irreconcilable. So we will seek your policy guidance also as to what criteria you wish to prioritize or emphasize. For example, if you want me to emphasize compactness of the districts and make them as compact as possible, it's not going to allow me to maintain the contours of the existing districts because they're not compact. We also need to know whether you wish to achieve mathematical equality or substantial equality of population. That is your choice. Obviously, substantial equality, which allows for up to a 10% overall deviation, provides greater flexibility in developing a plan. However, if you don't expect significant growth in population over the next decade of one district over another, achieving mathematical equality now may result in a plan that is not malapportioned in the next redistricting cycle, thus obviating the need of resources, time, and expense to redraw the plan again 10 years from now. And with that, council members, as I said, it would be a very simple presentation. I've given you a report that it gives you a lot more detail, and I look forward to your discussion, policy guidance, and I'm here to answer any questions you would have.
From the dais.
I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you for your report. And this is, Mr. Mayor, this will go to the clerk. I just wanted to make sure, based on our conversation that we had, that we take into consideration everything that is already permitted for that's supposed to be built when we got new residential that's coming into the city. So as we move district boundaries that we are accounting for those potential people that will be moving into this city.
So, yes, you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
During our one-on-ones, you did emphasize that point, and I did share with Mr. DeGrande some of the permitted development that's been taking place in the city and some of the planned development.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, you can.
That is certainly a valid redistricting policy guidance that you can provide. As soon as I get the, full list of what is permitted in what area, what we believe the units are, and therefore the density that will occur, I can certainly factor into that, into the plan, which frankly militates towards doing a substantial equality as opposed to mathematical equality plan, because I may want to, for example, underpopulate a district where it's evident that there's going to be, 300, 400, 500 units permitted in the next decade, and factor that in. So the district initially, when I draw the plan, may be slightly under the ideal, knowing that it will come up to the ideal throughout the permitting construction process.
Right. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was looking for, because if we don't fix it now, then the next council will have the same problem. I mean, because the city is growing at a tremendous rate.
Any
Mr.
other
Mayor.
questions?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Thank you again, Councilwoman Shannon Campbell, for your presentation, very thorough, and I appreciate your work and what you're doing. I agree with my colleague, Councilman Reginald Leon, as it relates to preserving the core of what's currently in place, so it can avoid confusion amongst our residents, because it can get a little tricky. So, you are the expert. I researched you. You do some good work.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I have faith in you. I just want to put that out there and come up with a map that just preserves the core of what's already in place when we're looking to what we have. Our numbers have increased because we've grown since 2003. We've grown a lot. So I know it is time for us to do what we need to do on this end. So just keep that in mind, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Okay.
No, you good. Mr. Clerk, what is our directions right now?
So right now, we can, a motion directing Mr. DeGrande to move forward. What I've heard is preserve the core of the districts and to also consider future permitted growth within the city.
All right, so that, you had a question, Mr.?
Yes, I have a question as it relates to the annexation area, the south of 183rd. Is that included, has that been determined as to what district it would be added to?
I guess he will take that under consideration once we give him instructions to move forward.
It's up to you, and that's part of the policy guidance you can give me. There's two districts that it would logically fit into. One, very logically, and the second I'd have to actually pull down to get it. I would welcome any policy direction you want to give me in that regard.
Yeah, I'd like to make a suggestion, Mr. Mayor, that the annexation area is included into seat 3 because it's literally in the bounds of seat 3. And I do know that it would, to your point, moving it to, that's seat 3 and seat 2 that it would be compared to. Is that correct?
Yes, there you could see on the map, it certainly fits perfectly into District 3.
Yeah.
If I were going to put it into District 2, I'd actually have to thin out District 3's contour a little bit to connect it to the annexation area. So it would seem to me that it's more logical to do District 3. In terms of my analysis, it has no impact because it has no
It
population.
has no population.
Right. So, yeah, that's why I would like to suggest that the annexation area is...
So let's look at both of
Right.
the seats being looked at. So we can look at it in 3 and look at it in 2.
Because
and
geographically-
decide which one will be the best one.
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor.
geographically, I agree with Councilman Stevens. C3 would be the better one, especially
Yeah,
that doesn't have any.
that's the logical one, but I would just say it's up to us as a council. I would just say let's look at both designs and see how it'll pan out.
Are we giving instructions tonight? What are we preparing to vote on? Are we giving instructions as to what's the policy going to be?
Well, yes, it's
So-
for him to proceed
forward.
with.
Right, so we don't have an opportunity to look at both right now.
Is that possible?
If you want me to present two plans, I can present two plans. If you want me just to present one and bring the annexation area into District 3, I can do that too.
Mr.
How much your
Mayor,
pleasure?
For point of clarity, okay, first of all, can someone tell me where the new annex is located? The new, that we inherited it? 183rd and what again now?
It's off of
Is that second?
where the office is.
So it's east of,
Okay.
yeah, east of
I got
Northeast
house
Second Avenue all the way to I-95.
South of 95.
Okay, so thank you for that clarity. So for the purposes of today, once we give you some direction, you've heard a few things, and the clerk is, I guess he's going to restate what we're asking. And once you get that clarity, you will then move forward with composing. And you can very well do 1, 2, 3, 4 maps. And you just need directions from us what to do in that
Exactly.
light. So
I
I
can
would
bring you-
suggest, yes.
Yes.
So my point is, Mr. Mayor, if I may, do 2. Let us have some options. Do 2 or 3, and let him compose 2 or 3, and then we come back to the table, look at them, and then we just say, no, we don't want 3. We don't want that second map or the third map. We looking at number, and we vote on which one we like the best. Why just pick one map and we have no options? I'm just trying to leave the door open.
I would say 2, not
2.
3.
Oh,
I don't
I'm
think
open.
we need-
That's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to make sure I understand what's happening here, because I'm a little confused. Tonight, we're giving instructions as to how to move forward with this process. Is that correct?
That
That's
is
what you're
correct.
asking for, correct?
That is
Right.
correct.
What is the timeline to get this process done? Because we're on recess for the month of August. We come back in September, and we're now asking for another presentation on what is already being presented to us. So I thought the purpose of this conversation.
But do we?
Wait, hold on, let me
hold
finish, please.
Go
Wait,
ahead.
hold on 1 second.
Hold on. Trina. Hold on. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
because, but I had,
Hold on, let me,
because,
Let him
no,
finish.
but he interrupted me.
Let him finish.
All right.
Go ahead.
we're getting to give you instructions as to how to move forward with this process.
Yes.
Tonight.
Give me policy guidelines. and then
Correct.
I go and develop the plan or two plans for your consideration.
And then that will come back to us to vote on.
Those will come back to you. I'll be here in the podium. I'll walk you through the two alternatives, why I did what I did in
Correct.
each alternative, and leave it up to you to determine which one you prefer.
Then we'll
And
choose.
Thank-
right, 'cause then,
Mr. Clerk,
Mr. Mayor,
what is the timeline for this process to be completed?
So as Attorney DeGrani stated, we need to get this completed prior to our next general elections. In speaking with the supervisor of elections, what the Miami-Dade County is going through right now is re-precincting of all their election areas. Ideally, they asked for us to get this completed before the end of the year, prior to our qualifying period. Our qualifying period for the next election is in May. So ideally, I would recommend us to have our plans set by December, because what happens is now Miami Gardens has to do its own re-precincting, and by us doing our own re-precincting, we also have to notify those voters, those registered voters that are affected on their new precincting areas. So ideally, my recommendation would to get this completed before the year is over.
Thank you. Okay, so it makes sense to, as it's been suggested by the mayor and Councilwoman Campbell, to create essentially two plans and let us determine based off the route that we want to take with the two plans, being that we would have time to vote and move forward in the direction before we are out of time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may? to respond in terms of schedule, we could certainly get you a plan before December. That's not a problem. My only constraint right now is not a constraint because you'll be on recess, but I take my vacations in August precisely because every commission is on recess. So I would be probably at the end of August, which is when I come back, start working on it. Probably have the two products ready by the end of September.
Okay.
Available options to really have to take the time to narrow it down. Let us be the ones to make that decision. When you hash out the unknowns, an example is we don't know how much of a projected impact new development is going to have on the numbers. That's something we don't know. And we don't know if that is going to be hashed out in one sample, two, or three, because there's a lot of development going on in the city throughout, and each one of these districts may be impacted by it. So instead of relegating ourselves or limiting ourselves to one or two options, we need to have as many options that this thing causes us to look at, because the numbers may require something different other than one or two options. I say allow our consultant to take a look at it, hash out the numbers according to development and other types of considerations that may impact the growth of each one of these seats. And then we can make determinations about what is most effective for us, and not just have him to limit it to two, but have it to be as many as are impacted in this area here. That would be my recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, my suggestion, if it meets your approval, Councilwoman Wilson, is let me prepare and present two plans. Since we don't have to do this until December, I can come back probably the beginning of October with those two options. You can then tell me, look, I like option one, but I want you to tweak this. At least now we're talking based on something concrete that we can work off of. Because I can draw you an unlimited amount of plans that are constitutionally compliant, not necessarily what you would want. So once I develop two plans, you can either tell me, Miguel, that's horrible, start from scratch, or you could tell me, I like this one as is, or I like this one, but I need you to tweak this. What would be the impact? Once we have an actual draft, I can then tell you, Ms. Wilson, we can't do that because that will destabilize the numbers, or yes, I could do that, but then I'd have to shift population from another district. You see, then we have something to talk about. But if I just, willy-nilly give you 10 plans, I think that's going to complicate it, whereas if you have options, you could work off those options more efficiently.
Okay. I don't agree, but you're the expert, and so I'll lean to that. To me, when I look at my residential seat, I have developments that's going on there. There are some that are going on in Lake Lucerne, and in other areas that we may have greater impact. And if we come up with one plan where one region is not considered or another, then I think that there should be one that shows the impact on each one of those areas. But I'm not the expert. You are. And so if you think that two plans works better for you, then we can start there. I'll acquiesce on that.
Yeah, and as I said, the two plans doesn't mean that you can accept one or the other as is. We would have time for you to say, make these changes, come back to us. Say, for example, if we do the first presentation early October, come back to us at the end of October, Miguel, with a plan that accomplishes these tweaks that we want to see. That, I think, becomes a more efficient process, because if I give you 10, I could tell you based on past experience what will happen. Ms. Campbell will like option one, Mr. Stevens will like option two, Mr. Leon will like option 3, and we will never coalesce on a plan. So with limited options and the ability for you to direct me to change it, becomes a more efficient process.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes, I just want to follow up. Basically, once you create the plans, we still, this body will have to do a motion. Say if you present 2, any one of us could say, I want to do a motion to accept Plan 1. We vote. If it goes. If it don't, we're done. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. And you could also, instead of making a motion saying I'm picking Plan 1, I'm picking Plan 1 subject to the following amendments. So it would not be a final plan. I would have to come back to you and make those amendments.
Okay, thank you for the clarity.
So, Mr. Clerk, how should this motion read?
All right, so based on a conversation I heard, the motion should be as follows. A motion directing Attorney Miguel DeGrande to develop 2 plans. Both plans to consider preserving the core of the districts, consider future development, and also 1 plan to show the annexation of Seat 3 with District 3, or, the annexation with Seat 3 or the annexation with Seat 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the motion that's on the table.
Second.
We need somebody to move it.
I need somebody to move it.
I make a motion
All right.
with said items.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Voice vote or
Voice vote is on.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing no opposition.
Motion passes 6-0.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and
you.
I will see you probably late September or early October.
Thank you.
Take care.
Enjoy your time off.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Mr. Mayor, we're now on to public comments.
Mr. Clerk, do you have any written communication?
No written communication. We do have a pre-registered public comment from Lynette Jones.
Would you like to read that into the record?
No, she pre-registered. You might have the yellow card already with you.
Okay. I have 2 cards in front of me from Abini. How do you
How you guys doing today?
how do you pronounce your name?
It's Nzele Ibeni.
Okay.
So today I'm here to talk about, I heard that there will be a new building that's coming up, a cultural arts center, and I am a part of a camp that's called BAM, Black Architects in the Making. So Black Architects in the Making is a program that teaches young Black minority architects to learn how to become an architect. So that camp is somewhere around UM Miami. So every morning I would drive to UM Miami to go and learn about the architecture there. So my love for architecture was found when I was around 6 years old. And around 6 years old, I would put together cardboard boxes and just build things and find out more about architecture. So from there, my mom, who's also here, she informed me that there would be a building here. So I had an idea that why don't we partner with BAM, Young Architects in the Making, to have an influence on a little bit about how the building's going to turn out. So not saying that BAM is going to come and design the whole building. We just want to have some type of input on how the design is going to turn out. So here I have some folders for you guys if you guys would like me to pass them out. It's a little bit about my letter on to you guys about what BAM is and how we want to influence the building. So do you guys mind if I come over here and pass these out?
And give them to him.
So inside of the folders, there's going to be 2 sheets of paper. One is my letter, and another one is it's like a mood board of different ideals for what we can do to have an influence on the building. So I'm going to let him pass you guys out, and you guys can read that yourself.
Did you include your contact information in here?
Yes, I think at the bottom.
Is it in this left?
I'm sorry? Yes, I did send an email.
All right, we're gonna get in contact with you, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. John Ziegler.
How you doing? John Ziegler, 18501 Northwest 22nd Court, Miami Gardens. Captain Hedrick, she available? She's been on my case about joining the committee for the athletic league. And I told her that I do like kids, but they grow up to be grumpy old people. So instead of joining the league, I decided to donate $1,000 to the police athletic league.
Oh, cool.
So if she wants to come up.
Good job, Mr. Ziegler.
Thank you. Try to take after you, sir.
Money from the party. All
Come on,
proceeds-
guys.
The proceeds from John Ziegler's Christmas party.
Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Ziegler. We appreciate it. Kevin Yerby, I need to see you after the council meeting. Are there any other written communication, or are there anyone else who would like to speak during public comments? Showing none, public comments are now closed.
All right, there are no ordinances on for first reading. Ordinances on for second reading and public hearing. Item 9.1, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, amending Chapter 16, Article 3, Section 16-57, entitled Maintenance of Property, Buildings, Structures, Walls, Fence, Signs, Pavements, Landscaping, and Drainage Facilities. Provided for adoption and representation, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing severability clause, providing for including the code, providing for an effective date. And this is sponsored by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell. Mr. Mayor, this is a public hearing.
Public comments on this item is open. Hearing no public comments are closed. I need a motion on this item.
Motion?
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion from the dais? Showing no discussion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Leon,
Yes.
Councilwoman McDarrell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson, Councilman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 6-0. We're now on to the consent agenda. Item 11.2, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, ratifying the implementation of the Formula One Youth Educational Scholarship in an amount of $50,000 and senior home beautifications that benefit residents in an amount of $200,000, non-pro tunc, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris. Item 11.3, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, waiving all fees associated with the usage of Myrtle Grove Park, the Showmobile, and staff to host the second annual Jamaican Pre-Independence Day Amateur Soccer Tournament, authorizing in-kind support for the event in an amount not to exceed $2,222 from the general fund to cover costs associated with staffing, allocating funds from Vice Mayor Wilson's special events account in an amount of $5,000, providing for instructions to the city manager, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Vice Mayor Katrina Wilson. Item 11.4, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, requesting approval of the service agreement attached here to is Exhibit A with the Oasis at Miami Gardens for the implementation of a small business assistance program, utilizing dollars from the Formula One Community Assistance Fund up to $100,000, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris. Item 11.5, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, supporting Miami Northwestern Senior High School We Are One Bulls Alumni Picnic, authorizing the use of the Showmobile in kind on Saturday, August 5th, 2023, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Vice Mayor Katrina Wilson. Item 11.6, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, establishing procedures for the sale and lease of city-owned property, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell. Item 11.7, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing sponsorship for the Entrepreneurship Experience Summit in the amount not to exceed $2,000 from Councilwoman Shannon Campbell's Public Affairs Special Events account, provided for adoption of reputation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell. Item 11.8, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds to various community organizations from Councilwoman Shannon Campbell's Public Affairs Special Events account in the amount of $2,500, provided for adoption of reputation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell. Item 11.9, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating $1,000 from Councilman Reggie Leon's Public Affairs Special Events account to support the Robert Sharp Tower Tenant Social Club East and West Building, provided for adoption of reputation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman Reggie Leon. Item 11.10, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating $1,000 for Councilman Reggie Leon's Public Affairs Special Events account to support Shakiva's Sickle Cell Anemia Foundation Incorporated inaugural kickoff for a cause fundraising sneaker gala, provided for adoption of representation, provided for effective date, and is sponsored by Councilman Reggie Leon. Item 11.11, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds for Councilwoman Linda Julian's Public Affairs Special Events account in an amount not to exceed $521.02 towards the City of Miami Gardens Police Explorers Program, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Linda Julian. Item 11.12, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds for Councilwoman Linda Julian's Public Affairs Special Events account in an amount not to exceed $100 towards Advancing Sickle Cell Advocacy Project, Inc., provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Linda Julian. Item 11.13, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds for Councilwoman Linda Julian's Special Events account in an amount not to exceed $1,400 for the annual Off to College giveaway, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Linda Julian. Item 11.14, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, waiving rental fees and service charges in an amount of $1,494 for the use of the Bunch Park Recreational Complex and paying associated staffing costs, allocating $264 from the Seat 6 Special Events account to cover the cost for staff services on Day 2 of the book fair, non-pro-tunc, to Sunday, July 23, 2023, in support of Councilman Stevens and Molding Messengers 2-day book fair, provided for adoption rotation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens III. Item 11.16, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds for Councilman Stevens' Special Events Public Affairs account in an amount not to exceed $594 in support of Generational Cures partnership with Councilman Stevens for the 7th annual Black and White Masquerade Gala, providing for instructions to the city clerk, providing for adoption rotation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens III. Item 11.19, a resolution of City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorized city manager to issue purchase orders for an amount not to exceed $80,494.38 annually for 5 years to Dell Financial Services for the purchase of Pivot 3 computing and storage hardware and software from Affinitech, Inc., to be used by Real Time Crime Center, authorizing a waiver of competitive bidding pursuant to Section 2-757 of the Procurement Code, providing for adoption of rotation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the City Manager. Item 11.20, resolution of City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizes the city to accept that certain grant award from the Children's Trust Grant in an amount of $650,000 for grades K through 8 at 4 community centers. Authorize the city manager to take any and all steps necessary to accept grant funds and annual renewals during the 5-year cycle, providing for adoption of rotation, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.21. A resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, adopted a proposed millage rate to be levied for fiscal year 2023-2024 for the operating purposes, establishing the debt service millage rate approved by the legislators in April 2014, setting the date, time, and place of public hearings to consider the proposed millage rate, debt service millage rate, and tentative budget, provided for direction to the city manager, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.22, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizes the city manager or city clerk to execute and attest respectfully that certain interlocal agreement with Miami-Dade County to reestablish distribution of proceeds of the 60-cent local option gas tax for the 30-year period from January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2053. Attached hereto is Exhibit A, providing for documentation, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.23, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, canceling the November 22, 2023 and December 27, 2023 City Council meeting, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city clerk, and that's your consent agenda.
You need some water? Good job.
Good job, Mr. Clerk.
I need a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the consent agenda pass.
All right, we're now on to item 11.15, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, to purchase and install Stop the Bleed kits and its monitoring services at all city parks and facilities, providing for instructions to the city manager, providing for adoption of representation, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens III. This was pulled by Councilwoman Campbell.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes, I had a few questions here. Okay, the first one. All right. The fiscal impact, it says to be determined by the city manager. So my question is there a cost for the bleeding control kits?
Who are you?
Mr.
Sending this-
Stevens, I'm sorry.
Mr.
through the
Stevens
mayor,
or the city
Mr.
manager?
Stevens, because this was his item, so
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So there's a potential cost, and the reason why I identified as a potential cost because there's grant funds that can be secured to purchase the Stop the Bleed kits that I'm currently working to secure.
Okay. My concern with the cost factor is if we had an idea, if you had potentially had a cost, if we would have had an idea of what they would cost. Because my second question is where would the funds come from? You mentioned a grant. Are we secured? We've secured the grant, or?
It can potentially be covered by a grant, but the cost will come from the general fund to purchase the Stop the Bleed kits to be installed at every park and city facility.
And do you have the potential cost?
No, I don't
a dollar
have a cost
amount?
at the moment. This is directing the city manager to purchase the kits.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You say this item is directing the manager to purchase the kits, but if he don't know what they cost.
Right. So
This-
right. That's why he's going to go out and he would go out and explore the cost to purchase the kits to install at all of our parks and city facilities.
Okay, you've answered that question. In the staff summary, I highlighted this sentence. It says, bleeding control kits are designed to provide essential equipment that empowers the general public to act as immediate responders in stopping life-threatening bleeding. So when we think about, I guess, are you referring to the public? Like, say myself, I could be at the park and an emergency happens, someone's bleeding. I could potentially use something from this kit to stop that bleeding. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What's in the kit?
The Stop the Bleed kit is essentially a first aid kit. However, there's additional equipment to apply pressure to whatever wound that the blood is coming from to stop it, to provide aid before first responders get on the scene.
Okay. All right, you answered that question. Thank you. Now, in the second paragraph, it reads this: the bleeding control kits are housed in cabinets affixed to poles, enabling park visitors the ability to call 911 for emergencies, while providing advanced life-saving measures by assessing a bleeding control kit before paramedics arrive. Now, you just stated that the kit is like a first aid kit, so it's equipment in there to stop bleeding. But then this says it's something on a pole that they need to call. So I was confused. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's the reference to it being a first aid kit was to give you an idea because you asked what was in the kit.
Okay.
So the reference to the first aid kit. Now, what the actual the first Stop the Bleed kit is essentially a first aid kit that is stored away. What that's accessible by staff or whomever is at that facility that you would be able to have access to should you need the necessities that's inside of the kit to stop the bleeding before the first responders arrive on the scene.
Okay. But with this second statement, it's saying it's fixed to a pole, enabling park visitors to call 911. So is it a phone or is it a kit?
No, it's a kit. It's a kit.
Is a phone in the kit?
No, there's no phone in the kit.
But this is, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm serious because I'm confused. I just need to understand because whatever's going to keep our residents in our park safe, I'm for it. But I was confused when I read this because in one text it's saying it's a kit and you saying it's like a first aid. It comes with stop the bleeding. I get it.
Correct.
And then here it's saying to call. It's a box on a pole affixed with something to call 911. So is that included in the kit?
Well,
or no?
when you are experiencing life-threatening issues, you contact 911 from the beginning. At least I would hope that that's what you would do. This here is to provide the basic necessities that you need to stop the bleeding or to apply pressure to the wound before the first responders get on scene. So to your question, no, it is not a cell phone case where you pick it up to call 911. It is a kit that provides the necessary necessities that you need to aid the wound that the blood is coming from.
But the way it reads, I'm not.
No, go ahead.
If we can get a clarity or maybe take that part out to say, when it's saying calling, because it kind of looks as if it's a call box too. And because the way I read it, I could, it could be my comprehension level, I don't know. But the way I read it, I saw it was a kit. I'm pretty sure, like you said, it has equipment to stop bleeding out. I got that. But then when you read further, it says to call 911 and it's connected to the pole. So it could look like, oh, this kit you go to call a number for help. So that's why it can, I don't know if that can come out or I don't know.
Yeah, no, your point is well taken. I'm not amending it, but it's well taken.
Okay, that was my last question with that item. So I don't know if anybody else had
I
questions.
make a motion to move this item. Go ahead.
So if we're not sure what we are getting, we don't really know what the fiscal impact is. In other words, if it's got to be affixed to a pole, that's a labor cost. If it's an equipment, which I initially thought that's what it was like a, like a kit, I thought it was like a kit that similar to what they were talking about on the news with Mr. James's son.
It is.
They have those kind of kits that it should a athlete get in duress, that they would be able to use some of these kinds of first responder things.
You're talking like an AED.
It is.
I'm sorry?
Talking about an AED that they could use to.
Yeah, I thought that maybe that's what this similarly was, but the description doesn't fit the same. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And then it has no fiscal impact, so I'm not sure that I know what it is.
Any other question?
Yes, every park and every city facility.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move the item. Motion.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions or concerns?
No. Shouldn't we vote on it, right?
Yeah, we're gonna vote on it. So, by voice vote, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition?
Yes. I
Yes.
vote no.
I'll vote no.
Okay.
Motion passes 4-2.
Next item.
All right, we're on to item 11.17, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds for Councilman Stevens' Special Events Public Affairs account in an amount not to exceed $2,000 in support of the Encouraging Dreamers Breaking Barriers, Inc., and the Show Some Love Foundation, Inc., provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens III. This is pulled by Councilwoman Campbell.
Councilman Campbell, Councilwoman?
Yes. In this particular item, in the staff summary, it writes as this. Encouraging Dreamers Breaking Barriers, EDBB, Inc. is a local, non-for-profit charitable organization. But from my understanding, it's not. It's listed as a LLC.
Yeah.
So I just have, is it a non-for-profit? Even if it's a LLC, if we could take that non-for-profit portion out?
You directing this to Mrs. Stevens?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Stevens?
Yes.
I'm not understanding the question.
You have it, as you read this agenda item, your staff summary lists this as a non-for-profit charity organization, but it's listed as a LLC. So which is it? Is it a non-for-profit or is it a LLC?
This is Encouraging Dreamers Breaking Barriers is a non-for-profit organization that provides mentorship to young people in the community. They provide it in the sense of an entrepreneurship concept that take young men and women out of the community, mentor them in what I like to identify as an innovative way to groom our young people by a way of a number of things that they provide do projects. For an example, a car wash. They mentor them as to how to run a business, and the proceeds that these young people receive by the way of a car wash or whatever initiative that they're doing within that season is donated towards the students for education purposes and creating business purposes. They identify as a non-for-profit as it's outlined in the cover memo.
Okay, but how is it listed in SunBiz according to the state of Florida? Is it listed as a non-for-profit or is it listed as an LLC?
I just answered that it's listed as it's identified as a non-for-profit organization.
Okay. Is there a way we can check to see if this organization is identified as a non-for-profit or is it identified as a limited liability corporation, according to SunBiz?
Okay, can I?
Sure.
Go ahead, Madam Attorney.
Two different things, Councilwoman. Non-for-profits can be LLCs.
That's correct.
Companies are not designated as non-for-profits by the state of Florida. That's a federal designation.
That's correct.
Florida, you're going to be an LLC, you're going to be an Inc., you can be a non-for-profit and also be an LLC. Now, that may not answer your question as to whether we have their paperwork for being a 501c3. We generally take the councilperson's word at that when you all bring items and you say they are a non-for-profit. But that's a federal issue, federal designation.
But that didn't answer our question.
Okay, thank you for that clarity, Madam Attorney, for the distinguishing of the two. I have no further questions.
Right. I need a motion on this item.
Motion. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
Yes, I oppose.
Show the opposition.
Yeah, motion passes 5-1.
Right, thank you.
All right, we're now to item 11.18, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, directing the city manager to secure funding for the 27th Avenue pedestrian safety infrastructure funding, providing for the adoption of representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens. This was pulled by Councilwoman Campbell.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Okay, with this particular item, my questions are as follows. This may be directed to the city manager for this one. And I ask, as a part of the development, isn't safety as a whole a component of the development? So, because I see it's being asked that you're being asked to secure funding for the 27th Avenue pedestrian safety infrastructure funding. I need to understand, maybe you, Mr. Manager, can answer that question. Do we have a line item for pedestrian safety infrastructure funding?
Mr. Manager. Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell, what this item is asking me to do is that when there are opportunities for grant funds that we could use to enhance our pedestrian areas, that I would have the ability to apply for those grant funds, bring those grant funds to your attention for approval, and implement what those monies can be to ensure that we provide safety for our pedestrians on the 27th Avenue corridor.
Okay, so my second question is, and I already stated it, is, so when we have developers come into our community to develop, that's not already a component that we look at, safety, to make sure that we have gonna have sidewalks, and if there's a cross in the streets, and is that not a component already?
Some of those projects that we do, mostly your larger scale projects, some of them are tied to that, but for the most part, this is outside of the basic fundamental safety provisions that they provide. This goes beyond that. So these grants would help us assist in developing more of a pedestrian-friendly area in certain areas along 27th Avenue.
So you
And
said,
in particular, if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman, if you look at the 35-acre development that we're looking at, some of those funds, if we're able to obtain some of those funds, could be used to assist in that development.
okay. So you said the grants will take care of what he's asking to be done.
That's
here,
correct.
As long as we
It
got-
may assist the development community in providing the projects they need to do in the city, what they're looking to get to approve.
Okay, because I saw no fiscal impact. That's why I was concerned if we're going to, but you were asking for infrastructure funding. I just want to make sure we have the funds to do it.
Yeah, the fiscal impact would be the grants that we will receive.
Okay. Thank you. That was my only question there.
I need a motion on this item.
Motion.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Showing no opposition, show the item passes.
Motion passes 6-0. We're now on to quasi-judicial zoning hearing and Jennings disclosures.
Good evening. Welcome to the quasi-judicial portion of the July 26, 2023 City Council meeting. For those persons that will or may be speaking on an item on the agenda or commenting on any item, please stand up and be sworn in by the city clerk. For the applicants, your item will be called to order by agenda number and the title of your request. When your item is called, please approach the microphone, and when addressed, please speak directly and clearly, stating your name and address for the record, and explain the reason for your request. Note that all exhibits presented to the mayor and the council will become part of the public record.
Those that plan to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I go ahead and poll the council on both items this evening for Jennings disclosure?
You can.
All right, Councilman Stevens, have you had any ex parte communications on both public hearing items?
No.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Councilwoman Godaro, have you had any ex parte communications on both public hearing items?
No.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Councilman Leon, have you had any ex parte communications on any of these quasi-judicial zoning items?
No.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell, have you had any ex parte communication on both zoning public hearing items?
No.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson, have you had any ex parte communications on any of these zoning items? And will your decision tonight be solely based on evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Mayor Harris, have you had any ex parte communications on these zoning items?
No.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on evidence presented before you?
Yes.
All right, we're now on to item 13.3, resolutions public hearing. Item 13.3.1, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, amending the declaration of restriction for property located at 15290 Northwest 34th Avenue to facilitate the outdoor storage of highway signage and material by G2 Highway Signs and Structures LLC. Providing for adoption or revocation, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager, and this is a public hearing.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, I'll have Nikisha Smith, Planning and Zoning Director, present, please. Thank you.
Good evening. This item is an amendment to an existing restrictive covenant for the G2 Highway Signs and Structures LLC. This property is located at 15290 Northwest 34th Avenue. It is located within our industrial district. This item was approved previously under a resolution. This is a map of the location that was previously approved. The resolution number is 2017543159, and that resolution came with a declaration of restrictive covenant. There were several items outlined in that covenant, and the applicant is requesting to amend one item in the covenant related to outdoor storage. This item will actually add additional requirements to the outdoor storage area of that industrial lot. In summary, staff is recommending approval of this First Amendment of the Declaration of Restrictive Covenants to facilitate the necessary outdoor storage.
Public comments on this item, correct?
No written communication.
Showing no public comments are closed. Need a motion on this item?
Motion.
I second it. It's been moved and seconded. It's open for discussion. Any questions or concerns from the dais?
What's the physical, I just have one. Is this the same property that's right across from the airport on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's across from the airport, yeah.
All right, that's it.
Right. Any other questions or concerns? Showing none, Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Councilman Leon.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDowell.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Councilman Stevens.
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
Vote yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 13.3.2, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, waiving the distance requirement for the sale of alcohol beverage as set forth in Section 34-147 of the City of Miami Gardens Code of Ordinances for that certain property located at 18581 through 18583 Northwest 27th Avenue, more particularly described in Exhibit A attached thereto, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date. This is sponsored by the City Manager, and this is a public hearing.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, this item is before you, but Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and council members, I'd like to defer this item to the September 13th, 2023 meeting at 7 p.m.
All right. I need a motion to defer.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You said 7:30?
Defer
5:30.
to September 13th, 2023.
5:30.
Excuse me, I'm going back. You're
Okay,
right,
thank you.
5:30.
I didn't want to be
sorry.
here too late, Mr.
Sorry about that.
Now, what was it?
We just need to make sure the time was right.
Okay. All right. I need a motion to defer.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Show the item deferred.
All right, we're now on to the reports of the City Manager, City Attorney, and City Clerk.
Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, to the young lady, Miss Abini. Miss Abini, you can stay right there. I'm over here. I promise we'll set up a meeting to meet with you on your issues, okay? It'll be done through Assistant City Manager Vernita Nelson, all right? Okay, and thank you for bringing this to our attention. With that, Mayor, council members, I hope you guys have a safe and enjoyable and restful summer break.
Yes.
Councilman Stevens, I know tomorrow's your birthday, so in the public, I want to go ahead and wish you the happy birthday. I want to wish Councilman Leon happy belated birthday, and I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you.
I don't have a report.
Mr. Clerk?
It's break time. No agendas. I got to read no agendas. Not everybody enjoy the recess. Happy birthday to Councilman Stevens, and happy belated birthday to Councilman Leon. Enjoy the recess. Well deserved.
And Mr. Stevens said he's going to give us a great birthday party. A great birthday present from him by not giving us a 4-page report. That right, Mr. Stevens?
You know, I feel good tonight. I want to keep going. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, let me thank my colleagues for your support to provide safety and continue to promote lasting health to our community by supporting the Stop the Bleed kits. And then also thanking my colleagues for your support as we continue to invest into non-for-profit organizations that's doing the work in our community on a daily basis. I often like to say that non-for-profit organizations is the engine behind creating lasting and stronger communities because they're doing the social justice, the social work that we, the government, cannot do. So I just want to thank you all publicly for your support in providing the resources that I believe our community need to create lasting communities. Thank you, Mr. Manager, and to our charter officers, Mr. Manager and your team for working to prepare a budget that would be brought back before us. I'm looking forward to the infrastructure improvement dollars and all of those great things as we work to advance the city of Miami Gardens. I like to say a slogan that says Miami Gardens versus everybody, because there's very few cities that you'll be able to do a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting in the same week. So I just want to put emphasis on you all are doing great work, and I appreciate that. On Sunday, July 30th, I'll be partnering with State Representative, let me make sure I get this correct, yes. State Representative Felicia Robinson and the Advancing of Sickle Cell Advocacy Project, another great non-for-profit organization that's doing work to host the ASAP Day 1-year anniversary awareness celebration at Buccaneer Park. This event will start at 2 p.m. On Sunday, July 30th. This event will start at 2 p.m. and will include health and wellness vendors and live performances. Please come out and have a good time and just express your appreciation to this organization that has been doing work for many years in the Miami Gardens community. Excuse me. And then on Monday, July 31st, I'll be hosting the third information session for our City University partnership at the Betty T. Ferguson Recreation Center at 6 p.m. If you are a first-time in college student, you've never taken college classes, and you would like to get started, please come out, be a part. And if you are a continuing student, you started college classes and you, for whatever reason, did not complete, and you want to get back in school, please come out and be a part. We've had 2 info sessions, colleagues, and let me tell you, it's just been amazing the amount of residents that have come out to participate, and I look forward to starting classes out of our college classes, for the record, out of our community center in the month of September by way of Miami-Dade College and Florida Memorial University. That ends my report. I do want to publicly wish the Councilman Leon a belated birthday, happy belated birthday, and to all of you, and Mr. Cole, happy birthday. Mr. Cole and I share a birthday tomorrow, so I wish you a happy birthday. And then our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Vernita Nelson's birthday is on Friday, the 28th. Happy birthday. It's safe to say it's Leo season. May God bless and keep y'all is my prayers.
Councilwoman Iguodaro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have had a full month in July, and we'll still have more programs to close out the month strong. I've been an advocate against human trafficking for a very long time, and over this past weekend, I was happy to partner with the Mavuno Project on their signature event, Kids Unite, Building Awareness and Resilience Against Human Trafficking. Thank you, Ms. Andre, and your team for bringing this important event to our city. I would like to congratulate ACE Girls Camp for an amazing summer camp at Betty T. Ferguson Rec Center. My team was excited to participate in the engaging and empowering discussion with the young women on July 20th. On July 29th, I am pleased to sponsor Nationwide Sports on their Unity in the Community, a fight against gun violence at Betty T. On July 29th, I partnered with Kingdom Keys for their first Youth Business Expo for young entrepreneurs. The event will take place at Trinity Church, 17801 Northwest 2nd Avenue from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. On July 29th, I will be hosting a Family Fun Day in partnership with Parkway Baptist Church located in my district. Again, this is a free community event and open to all. On August 5th, I will host special games at Bunch Park from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On August 5th, I have partnered with Island Buds for a back-to-school book bag giveaway from 2 to 6 p.m. On August 12th, we will be hosting the Read to Lead reading and learning trip to Orlando. Many of you recall this is an initiative for our students, our little boys and girls who each read a book to have an all-expense paid trip to Islands of Adventure in Orlando. There will be no Unity Town Hall meeting in August, but we will be back on Wednesday, September 6th at Bunch Park with a special presentation for Back to School. My Lady Cares initiative has been assisting our C3 seniors with personal and social service needs. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Madam City Attorney, and Mr. City Clerk, Chief Pratt, and her team, Public Works, Code Enforcement, Parks, and Public Affairs, for the wonderful job you are doing to assist all of our residents. Happy 103rd birthday to C3 matriarch and centenarian, Miss Ruby. Cam, you would recall, Mr. City Manager, you would recall Miss Ruby is still with us. Also, Mayor Harris, you'll recall Miss Ruby is doing well, and she's enjoying her flowers. Happy birthday to Mr. Basil Cole, my resident in C3, and to my colleague, happy birthday. Thank you, residents of C3, and enjoy the rest of your summer with your families. Mr. Mayor, that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Campbell?
I wasn't ready. Thank you.
You got the seat now.
Well, let me start off.
Oh, no,
That's what I thought.
Go ahead.
You
I'm
skipped
sorry.
Reggie. You still want me to go? I
I'm
can
in the
yield.
summer frame of mind right now. Let's go back to Councilman.
All right,
Yeah.
I yield to Reggie and we'll come back.
Thank you again. Mr. Clerk, I want to say awesome job on putting together the redistricting. It will be my district with the most people busting out of the seams. It fits with my personality. Mr. Manager and Ms. Martha, with that budget presentation, we're heading in the right direction with this city. As you know, we continue to grow, and it shows in the number, the amount of people that are continuously investing in Miami Gardens. Let's not forget that we won't meet again, but we still have the Orange Blossom Classic and Parade that will be taking place while we're on recess. So again, that's more exposure to the city. So let's be prepared for that. Again, happy birthday to Councilman Robert Stevens and Mr. Basil Cole and all those Leos out there, Ms. Renita Nelson. Enjoy your break. Thank you.
All right. You have the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I first want to start with making sure our residents stay hydrated. We're experiencing some extreme heat, and that's everywhere. In the last 37 or more days, our temperatures have been over 100 degrees. So please stay hydrated in this extreme heat and stay safe. I want to put that out there first. Got a lot going on. Going to thoroughly enjoy this break off. Whew, looking forward to it. First, I want to remind those about my upcoming trolley talk. We'll be doing that August 2nd. We'll meet here at City Hall. It's first come, first serve. No pushing, no pushing. But come on out, and we're going to have a good time with that. Also, on August 5th, I have my Cooking with the Councilwoman. It's really sold out. So I just wanted to put an announcement out there because we're doing some great work, good things, and looking forward to that on August 5th at Buccaneer Park. Also, we have my community meet and greet, where I bring out key people who doing some good stuff in the community. And I'm partnering with the Miami-Dade Chamber Women's Business Council and the Self Group. Come on out September 9th. We want to pack it out. It's going to be some valuable information. That will be held at Buccaneer Park at 10 a.m. September 9th. So come on out and be a part of that. And then I also have the entrepreneurship experience that I've been hosting forever. Even before I was elected, I was engaged with the community and doing things. So continuing that good work. That will be held September 16th at 3:30. The registration is on Eventbrite. Register because I know it's going to pack out. So do that. It's going to be a very great experience. My guest speaker this year is none other than Mr. Ted Lucas. So come on out, hear what he got to say, and he's bringing in some key people that you really need to hear from. And it's for all ages, well, 14 and up. You got to at least be in high school, 14 and up. And we do have something special for our adults, all ages, whether you're 60, 50, 40, come out. I got something special for you. You will only learn what that is if you register and attend. Also, because of it's extremely hot, I have decided to do Splash Pad Fun Day every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. at Buccaneer Park, and it's been, the families are well deserving of it, and they like it because when I go out and I sit around on the side just talking to the constituents, they are appreciative of it. Even though the cost is maybe minute to me and maybe some of you, but when you got 4 and 5 and 6, 7 children in your home with nothing for them to do and you want them to stay hydrated and cooled off, it can hit your pockets. So I'm sponsoring those young people 11 and under to come out. We got, I think, 4 more sessions because the last one will be August 13th. That is every Saturday and Sunday. So come out if your kid is 11 and under and let them enjoy and get wet. I even seen some adults out there, so I don't understand it, but it's good. Stay cool. And to my colleague, Shannon Igadora, I would like to sponsor 2 of those students because everyone who truly knows me know I'm an avid reader, passionate about it. It was embedded in me from my parents. So I want to sponsor 2 of those students. You let me know what the cost is, and you got it. And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Every one of you, enjoy your break because we're going to need it because when we come back in September, we rolling again. So everyone enjoy your break. Colleagues, staff, charter officers, because I'm surely going to enjoy mine. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Vice Mayor?
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to extend an invitation to all of you for our second annual pre-independence amateur soccer tournament and Jamaican Independence at Myrtle Grove Park on Sunday. We have Stone Love, which is an international DJ, and he is in fact incredible. And there is so much excitement in South Florida now about soccer. And when we think about it on Myrtle Grove Park, the gentlemen there who are from across the Caribbean islands, as well as those who are born right here in Miami Gardens and have been playing soccer on that park for more than 30 years. They are very, very excited about having this this independence tournament. I would encourage all of you to bring your families, come out and spend a Sunday there. The tournament itself will begin at 9 o'clock, and the DJing and the after party and awards will begin at or about 2 o'clock. So I know that it might be a little hot, but we will have fresh water. We will have Mr. Frosty will be there with all kind of cooling drinks as well as good food and family. We had a wonderful time last year, and if the weather holds up, we plan to have a wonderful time again this year. And if you are from the Caribbean, please feel free to come on out and celebrate your pre-independence right along with us. You can also, we will have vendors and food and bounce houses. And remember, I really, really would love for you all to bring your children. Having the kids there, having family events is really what it's about. I love the adults, but I also love to see the kids. We have bounce houses and everything for them as well. I'm also pleased to announce that yesterday we broke ground on the Brentwood renovations. We were very, very excited about what that park is going to look like. It is a wonderful place to be with no renovations. I'm excited about the kinds of things that will take place. If Brentwood Park is going to look like any of the parks that they have renovated, it is going to be a state-of-the-art location, and it's going to be a state-of-the-art look. I don't think that there is a park in Miami Gardens that is just not super, super appealing. And once they go through the voila moment, we're going to be very, very happy about what you get there in that community. And then just right down the street tomorrow, we're going to be at Dr. Lester Brown, and we will be breaking ground on that. Every day that I go by there, I want to pull my car over and jump the fence, because I tell you, it is looking absolutely beautiful. I hope that you will take some time to come out. I believe the time change is still at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, or Is it 6? And so that gives us time to get our kids up from the games or what their practices are. And please just come on out, be a part of another fabulous groundbreaking for our Parks and Recreation. It's the grand opening. Did I say groundbreaking? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the grand opening of that park, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I would encourage you to come out. I won't see you guys again, my Meet Me Monday family in residential C4 until September 11th, which is after OBC, and it is also after all of the groundbreakings, and it is after back to school. And so I want you to pay attention to your emails from me, because there will be opportunities for me to provide you possibly with some back to school supplies and other type of OBC related events that I might offer for you to become my guest. So I want you to watch your emails, watch to hear from me, for me to extend to you an invitation to spend some time. I believe we also have the part. I don't remember the date. When is the parade for OBC?
September the 2nd.
Okay, September the 2nd on the Saturday, and it'll begin at what time, Sam? Do you remember? The parade.
10.
It starts at 10. I know that the last time we had the parade in Miami Gardens, it was absolutely fabulous. I wouldn't want a single resident to miss anything like it. It was just absolutely wonderful. And Sam and the Public Relations Department, along with OBC, they have been working hard to put on a stellar event for you. And so I would hope that you all would just come out of your front yards, sit down alongside of the road, and really just enjoy the festivities of OBC. And I would say that ends it for me. I'd like to wish both of my colleagues a happy birthday. And I would ask God to bless you for one more year around the sun, that we will be able to meet here again with your wonderful smiles and your long reports. You guys have a great month off, but I'm going to be with y'all anyway, so I'll see y'all later on. Okay. Thank you.
You had something? Yeah, go ahead.
My regard to you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. You know, when Formula One started, that was tough.
Yeah.
And it was especially tough on me, because I was in the midst of an election, and we had a lot of things that were anti-Formula One. But you took that, and you took the leadership on that, and you have taken what was something that could have divided us, and you have brought it together. And it didn't matter on this dais whether people voted against it or not. Everybody has been given something to take back to their residential seat. It didn't matter whether those that sent the ugly emails out and they were totally against it, you found a way to let them know that they should have been included. And that's what leadership is about. That sometimes we can't disagree, but leadership finds a way to sow a common thread, that you can bring children in and you can give them scholarships, that you can take the elderly and repair their homes, that you can take the money and split it in a way that every seat benefits by it. That's leadership. And I want to thank you for being what they call it, a class under fire.
Thank you.
Right? Didn't somebody say something about he's a praying man? Based on what you did, that shows as proof you get the stamp. So that's my final comments.
Thank you. And I'll accept that. I appreciate that, but we did that.
Okay,
We did that as a team, and a team amongst this entire city, the staff of this city, and everyone played a major part in it. I appreciate the accolades. Amen. Yes, ma'am. You can have my report time. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
years of independence. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor Wilson, for putting on the Jamaican 61, because I wanted to mention that, but when you mentioned it, I was happy. 61 years of independence for Jamaica. And you're going to have the soccer function, right? Yes, so I thank you for that, and I thank you all for the great job. I hope you all have a happy holiday, and my birthday will be Sunday. So, all right, thank you. God bless you all. Love you all. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. So while we're on birthdays, no, stay standing, stay standing. Mr. Cole, please stand. Vernita, please stand. Reggie, stand up. Robert, stand up. Anybody else who's having a birthday in July? August? Stand. Can we all wish them a happy, happy birthday? Happy birthday, everyone. And that being said, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting. It's been moved and seconded. Show this meeting adjourned. Be safe.